Good morning. And so this is going to be the making measurements intro and practice, a little bit of showing you how to make measurements properly. First, let's talk about what analog, right? So these things that you have to measure on your own. It doesn't just tell you the answer. So something like a clock, right? An old clock here is something that you need to measure yourself. What would this time be? Oh, I don't like doing this. 10, 0, 7, something like that, right? So it doesn't just tell you the time, whereas right below 221 tells you right away. So that's a digital device. In chemistry class, though, often enough, we will have to make measurements such as with a ruler or a graduated cylinder for liquids. But we'll also get lucky and be able to use a scale where you just put the object on it and it measures the mass. So a couple key points on how to measure liquids, because with graduated cylinders, which we will do a lot of the time in chemistry, there's this curve. And if you've never heard this word before, meniscus. The meniscus is the bottom of the curved line. And so you want to always read at the bottom of the curved line. Here you would read at the bottom of the curved line. The reason is because when the liquid gets close to the sides of the edges, it gets attracted and it pulls up a little bit. So we're looking at reading at the bottom of the curve. And we have to know what each measurement line represents. So if we look at this next one here, here is 4, here is 5, and you look at all these little lines in between. And so what each of these lines is going to represent, this is going to be 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and then this one here would be 4.5. All right, so how do we do this then? We read at the bottom of the curve. So right about there. Oh, sorry that my pen skills are terrible here. So there's 4.5, and it's above 4.5, but it's not quite at 4.6. So what you have to do is that you have to record all the numbers that are certain and one that is a guess. So the guess, what would you say? Well, it's sort of right in between the 4.5 and the 4.6. So my final answer guess would be something like 4.54 milliliters. Milliliters being the unit of measure for liquids, mostly for volume. But you might have also said 4.55 milliliters. And that's okay too. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a range because everybody's vision is going to be a little bit different. Maybe you said 4.53, and that would also be okay. All right, so the key points. Read at the bottom of the curve, called the meniscus, bottom of the curve, and estimate one final digit. Let's try one more. So this would be 10, 15, 20. And now each of these little lines is going to be 1 because here's 20, here's 30. So in this case, this will be 21, 22, 23, 24. But if it is right on the line, you notice that it's right on the line at the bottom of that curve, we would say 24.0 milliliters. Now, if you think it's slightly below, maybe you would have said 23.9 milliliters. Either of those would be good. So what are the key points? Read at the bottom of the curve, and estimate a value. Read at the bottom of the curve and estimate the last number you put. And there's a little range that it can go from. It could start maybe at a 0.2 to a 0.4. There's a little bit of a range there that is accepted. And finally, for rulers, it's the same sort of idea, right? All you're doing is seeing where it lines up at the end. This would be 12 point, I don't know, for this one it would be like 12.5 centimeters. Maybe you said 12.4, maybe you said 12.6. But the bottom one is a lot more accurate. So this one, it looks to me like it's 12.5, but it looks like it's right on that line, so I would say 12.50 centimeters. You want to be as accurate as you can. If there are a lot of little lines there, you can be more accurate. You can put more numbers at the end.